Pennsylvania's state system of higher education. 14 universities, infinite opportunities.
Hi, I'm Chancellor Karen Whitney, and today we'll be talking about how involvement in clubs and student organizations really help students become successful. I'm joined today by an outstanding group of panelists. Shawn Hoke, who's the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs at Clarion University. Good morning, Shawn.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we're joined by Dillon Hagy, a senior and a U.S. Army veteran studying entrepreneurship and small business management at Indiana University. Good morning, Dillon.
Good morning, Chancellor. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And finally, joined by Patrick Moyer, a sophomore communication studies major at Kutztown University. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hey, welcome everybody, and let's get started. This is one of my favorite topics, being involved in clubs and student organizations. So, Dillon, tell us a little more about yourself.
Yeah, so as you said, Chancellor, I'm a U.S. Army veteran, so a little older in college. After I got out of the military, I decided to go to IUP. I went there to play golf, but I ended up not playing golf and started my own organization. I'm passionate about giving back to my brothers and sisters, and I think you'll find that as we talk more about what I'm doing.
Very good, thank you. And Patrick, how about you?
Yeah, like you said, I'm a sophomore at Kutztown. I'm actually from Kutztown as well, so I grew up there all my life. So I just decided to stay there. I'm president of my fraternity on campus, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. I'm president of the Interfraternity Council. Then I'm a Kutztown University Presidential Ambassador. I also work as a tour guide and for University Relations, and I'm on the Student Government Board.
Wow, you guys are both very involved. That's terrific. And Shawn, how do you support clubs and student organizations at Clarion?
I spent a number of years working with our Student Senate and also the Clarion Students Association in the recognition and funding of student organizations. And through our organizational management platform, CU Connect, we've helped organizations manage their rosters, their important documentation, as well as advertise their events and activities to the general student body.
So you kind of create the environment that students then can create these organizations that mean so much to them.
Correct. Our goal is to help support them in creating the organizations that are going to be most meaningful to their experience.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, let's talk about some more. What are other ways that, in terms of involvement, the leadership aspect of it, what kinds of efforts do universities provide the students so they can be successful in their organization?
Oftentimes, many organizations or institutions will have leadership development programs that the student leadership can attend and gain various levels of outside of the classroom certifications. With us, we have a student leader empowerment program that students can go and learn a number of skills that they would be necessary for them to effectively manage their organizations.
That's great. That's really important so that they can be successful with the organizations that mean so much to them. Well, that's terrific. Let's go ahead and take a break and go visit Slippery Rock University.
From the moment that a student steps on campus, we're trying to help them connect with something that they're passionate about.
The Office for Student Engagement and Leadership provides a number of opportunities for students at Slippery Rock to be engaged outside the classroom.
We're helping students connect what they're doing outside of the classroom back to what they're learning. So our students are bringing their knowledge and skills that they're learning in the classroom, whether it's how to market well or to create flyers for us, to how to plan an event. And they're bringing it and using the skills that they learn in the classroom to make a tangible product or program in our office or for their organization.
Students engage in cultural conversations. They might be a club sport that they're involved in. It might be a fraternity and sorority. We have gaming organizations all the way through professional organizations and honorary organizations. So there really is the gamut of ways that students can do that.
In order for our students to be successful, we realize that they need to make a connection outside of the classroom. And so they're building their own support system through the student organizations, fraternities and sororities, and leadership opportunities that they're involved in.
Intramural sports on this campus is probably one of the highest participation levels that we have for any of our student groups on campus. But it all develops different characteristics and qualities that the students, I think, can use later in life when they start combining that with the education that they're receiving.
I like to say that our office is really can kind of promote all of the university learning outcomes in different ways because it's not just one way to get involved and we're not promoting just one area, but I would say our number one outcome is building the leadership capacities of students and of course helping them to graduate and to use those leadership skills and competencies after they graduate.
For our first year students, we have the First Year Leader Scholar Program. And for all of our students, we have leadership opportunities within fraternity and sorority life, Student Government Association, the University Programming Board, and Green and White Society.
All of our organizations that we oversee do have leadership retreats and trainings that we'll do specifically with our organization leaders, the Student Government Association, our University Program Board, the Green and White Society.
Our students are given so many responsibilities as leaders, and their ability to plan programs for us. They're working with community members. They're learning how to make plans and to come up with a backup plan.
And to kind of watch them along the way and watch them as they go through their academic courses and when they have those moments where they're able to really see the things that they've applied. I think it's those moments that they remember the most, and also that really help them when they look back as an alumnus to really say, I remember my involvement opportunity is really what helped me to be successful.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about how involvement in student organizations and clubs can really be helpful to student success. Shawn, let's talk some more. Why is it important from an educator standpoint for students to be involved, especially during their first year?
Well, research shows that students that get involved in clubs and organizations are more likely to persist through that first semester and first year of college and become more likely to then finish and graduate. But in the freshman year, part of the reason why the involvement is so important from a persistence standpoint is it really allows students, as they're making this transition from home to a new environment, to really help them to build a support network on campus, because they're going to be associating with folks that they already have something in common with. Within that organization, there's going to be other first semester students who are going through the same issues that they're going through. There's going to be upperclassmen who will be able to provide them with some advice and guidance as to what their experiences have been. And most of these organizations have advisors who can also be another university staff member who can help point them in the right direction when they encounter certain issues.
So while you're pursuing things you really care about, you're also really creating communities, getting to know other students and faculty and staff in ways that can be really helpful to sticking with it.
Exactly.
There you go. Well, thanks, Shawn. Hey, Patrick, what have you gained from your involvement on campus?
I've gained a lot from my involvement on campus, and I think the most important thing I've gained is how to adapt to change. If something doesn't go the way you want it to, what's next? If you're having an event, say outside, and it's pouring that day, what are you going to do now? It's all about learning how to adapt and react to everything that you get handed, as well as definitely time management's another huge thing that I've learned through my involvement, how to meet deadlines, how to make sure you have all your stuff submitted that you need submitted, as well as communication's another huge thing, how to communicate with other people in your organization, and yeah, that's.
And I bet a lot of that stuff you're learning now as a student, you can see that you'll be using it throughout your life.
Yeah, definitely. It's things that you got to take and apply to the real world as well.
Sure, I can see that. Dillon, tell us about how you started the Military Philanthropic Organization. What inspired you to create such an organization?
So it's interesting. So it was founded in January of this year, 2 semesters ago. And being a veteran, obviously I care about my country a great deal. And at IUP, I found that there's a lot of friends and a lot of students, good students, that really care about their country as well. but there's no way for them to give back to their country. Not everyone can go join the military, and that's not everyone's life plan either. But they do want to give back to veterans if there's any possible way. So in my mind, I was like, well, why don't I just create an organization that provides students the opportunities to go out and perform community service to give back to veterans in need in the local community, because Indiana has a lot of veterans. So I got together a group of friends, probably about 10 of them. We wrote a business plan. We got recognized by the university. And now two semesters later, we have 50 members. We just raised $3,500 last night to donate to homeless veterans. We're in talks with the executives at IUP. We have partnerships with local nonprofits. We're actually looking to expand to campuses like Slippery Rock and Shippensburg. And we won a competition. We were awarded $5,000 for a business plan of selling apparel and taking profits to fund students to give back. So it's crazy how things work out like that. It's been interesting 2 semesters.
Sounds like this is a combination of your life where you served as a veteran.
Yep.
And you're getting your academic credential in the area of entrepreneurship.
Correct.
And so this is actually a way that you're able to immediately give back with what you've accomplished in your life so far.
Yeah, definitely. That, and what's interesting is it aligns with my major, because in some of my classes, my projects are doing this, because entrepreneurship is, starting your own business. Well, I'm starting my own nonprofit organization. I lead 50 students. I lead 8 executive members. I talk with IUP executives. It's kind of like my own little, I'm going on TV now, I guess. So I'm not Jeff Bezos talking here, but
not yet.
It's interesting. It's a step. We're working with nonprofits. We're building partnerships with the Indiana Police. We're growing. We're expanding. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how this all worked out.
Wow, I think that's terrific.
It is. It's great.
Yeah, Shawn, I would imagine that a lot of, you've seen over the years, students take what they've learned in their involvement in student organizations and clubs, and it helps them after they leave the Clarion.
Well, I think Dillon hit the nail on the head. What folks don't think about when it comes to being involved in clubs and organizations is that you can gain experience that can help you later in life. Unfortunately, some people talk about wanting to get involved, and their idea of involvement means simply being a name on a roster and maybe attending a couple of meetings here and there. But for this kind of involvement to actually be impactful and for it to be able to help them in their post-college career, it's really about the experiences that they've had, what they've done, and what they've learned from those experiences, and then taking that and figuring out how they can apply it to what their future goals and aspirations are.
Boy, that makes a lot of sense to me, I think, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up, and we're going to take a quick break and visit Millersville University.
The purpose of the Intercultural Center at Millersville University is to really be a hub for diversity and intercultural education. So we really promote awareness, advocacy, understanding of civility, identity development, social justice, diversity, and multiculturalism.
Intercultural relations, right? We've heard things like multicultural or diversity. And some of the things that we're kind of diving into is beyond that, so it's inclusion and representation.
So there's multiple entry points for students to be engaged in the center, whether it's someone who is looking for spaces that are LGBT affirming, or individuals to talk about, issues in regards to race and ethnicity, or just really trying to find and build relationships with people who are similar to them.
It's just really a great place where we feel welcomed and accepted. And then we have that voice because we have that community that accepts us.
It's important to have these centers, and more like these centers, have them be more specialized, because historically there has not been enough support in place for students, of whether they're LGBTQ, Black, Latinx, Indigenous, a student with a disability.
One of the things we constantly talk about is how we appreciate diversity, and we're really striving from moving from diversity to inclusion. And so when we talk about inclusion, we talk about individuals who traditionally have been excluded. And so I think this center will be at the forefront of a lot of conversations from the student perspective.
It's important to have this center on campus because it allows for that safe space, and as well as to create that dialogue and engagement with other students on campus.
I think that one of the things that we're really trying to foster here is dialogue, which is different than talking, which is different than a debate or a conversation, right? So it's, I hear you, I really make it a point to understand you, and you understand me, and then we just talk about our differences without anyone feeling attacked.
This is an office that is dedicated to identity development, so them thinking about who they are, and then who are we as a campus, and how we can come together as a diverse community and really celebrate those differences, but also find ways that we're similar and really work towards progression and change.
So we can advocate for others that, you know, don't have those voices or are not empowered yet, you know, and have their voice. We can help empower them.
This is just really just like an opening and also a soft place to kind of land as well, but then also a place for you to be inspired and then move out into campus, at different sections of campus, and be able to hopefully inspire and create change.
The best learning tool is to be in a room with someone who is different than you and hear their story, because everyone has a story, and I'm hoping that this center will be able to foster those conversations to where we can hear each other and begin to build relationships across difference.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about how involvement in student organizations and clubs can really contribute to student success. Dillon, what are some of the resources you utilize at IUP to get your organization up and running?
Yeah, so I use the Student Government Association. They helped me, you know, finalize and create a constitution that can kind of outline basic procedures of what my organization will follow. But also, you know, the assets and the people are the two biggest things. The university, they have huge rooms. If you plan on growing, you can use them for meetings, you can use them to host events. All you gotta do is put in request forms. The university lets you use them for free. You can't do that in the business world. You have to pay convention centers at the hotels, so that's a big thing. You know, and the people too. You know, you make relationships. You know, the members that you recruit, but also, you know, executives, people that are, you know, like Michelle Freiling that I'm in talks with. She's director of communications. She gets us publicized a lot. She gets us in the paper, in the Beak, and that shows that we're growing and gets other students who are involved and want to be a part of it, you know, incentives to join. And it's just things like that. There's so many different people out there that are willing to help, your professors, you know, and you just got to take advantage of it. Just see what's around you, because there's a lot.
So they really provide a lot of student affairs professionals and faculty to help provide supports and ideas on how you can be successful with your involvement.
Oh, of course. My professors, Dr. Lipinski, Dr. Kozik, Dr. Minowski, they're my entrepreneurship professors, leadership professors right now. I've learned so much from their class. I apply it every day directly to what I'm doing as a president of an organization. And, you know, giving me the assets to hold our meetings, to host our events, and get us publicized, it's great.
That's terrific. Hey, Patrick, you hold many leadership roles at Kutztown. How do you manage both the involvement and the academic requirements? Where's the balance?
Yeah, the balance is pretty hard at first, but you definitely get into a groove with everything, and obviously school does come first. That's the reason.
Good to hear.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm there. That's the reason I'm there. So it does come first, but to me, what it comes down to is you can't do everything. You know, I found that out. No matter how bad you want to do everything, you really can't. And it comes down to you and the rest of your leadership in the organization delegating roles to specific people. And, you know, if one week, say, I'm bogged down with a bunch of tests and quizzes, you know, I know my guy next to me, you know, he'll take some stuff off my plate, and say the next week it's him that's all, you know, bogged down with the stuff. I'll take some stuff off his plate, pick up his slack. So it's all about like that give and take and helping everybody out so that you can have one great product.
Wow, what a great community. Wow, that's terrific. Hey, Shawn, what is the difference between involvement, and I think you talked about this earlier, and real authentic, active involvement?
Active involvement really is just that. It's being part of and engaging in the various activities that the club or organization does, beyond just being a name on a roster, beyond just showing up and attending business meetings. It's really the kind of involvement that Patrick and Dillon have been discussing through what their experiences on their campuses are.
So not just listing it as a check on a box, but really being all in and giving your time and your talent to what you're doing.
Exactly. If you listen to what Patrick and Dillon have both said, you hear a lot of people talk about college and life after college and being in the real world. Mm-hmm. Well, the college environment is the real world. And the types of activities that these guys have been part of, and the issues and challenges that they face, and the way that they've run their organizations, is the same kind of things that they may encounter once they graduate and they're out working in the quote-unquote real world.
Wow, well, that's well said. I'll tell you what, right now we're going to take a break and go visit Kutztown University.
Leadership skills can be found within our rugby program due to the high level of discipline and requirements that we put forth to our student athletes. It teaches time management, obviously. It teaches commitment. It teaches accountability. It teaches clarity of purpose. And it teaches responsibility, because they're all responsible to one another for success.
So my sophomore year, I became the treasurer of the men's rugby club, which really kind of expanded my role on the team. And then coming into my junior year, I was elected president of the club by the members, which has also increased my awareness of different organizations on campus because of how many people that I have to interact with.
On the women's side of the sport, there aren't a whole lot of high school women's rugby teams. And to be honest with you, there aren't a lot of full contact sports for women. And they come and they start to play rugby, and I think a lot of them start to identify with the ability that they can do these kind of things, that there's no gender role here.
I chose rugby because I like the intensity of it, and it always pushes me to do what I think I can't do. When I was little, I always asked my mom to play football, and she told me no, go do cheerleading. So I made the decision myself to come out for the rugby team here.
They come on out, play some rugby, you know, be physical, get out there and have fun. But the big part is, you know, they get to experience something different. They get to experience something they've never tried before. And in my opinion, that's what college is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about building on your experiences and trying new things and seeing what you like and seeing what you don't like.
I think rugby has made me a tougher person emotionally and physically. You get knocked down a lot in rugby, and then you're going to have to get up because your best friend next to you is relying on you to get up and help them in the situation. So overall, I think it's just made me stronger in life. Being the president on my team is really teaching me to become a leader, because I have to prove to my team that I can get stuff done, because if I don't get my job done, we're not going to be traveling to our games over the weekend. And then when I grow up and become a teacher one day, I need to make sure my students stay on tasks. That's just like me working with my executive board. And then I also need to report back to administration, which is like me working with the rec center here.
So we step out on the field, the energy is up, and we pick it up, all right? Let's go, jerseys on 3. Downhill. 1, 2, 3, jerseys.
Any great leader brings a positive energy. By having that positive energy, it inspires others.
Leadership is the pillar to our success. And leadership goes hand in hand with discipline in order to teach these skills to become good citizens, good leaders in their communities, and good parents.
You learn things within this club that you don't learn in school. You come into this club as a boy and you graduate as a man. You learn to become a man through this club.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about student involvement and student organizations and how they help each student be successful. Dillon, tell us some more. How is your involvement preparing you to be successful after you graduate?
That's a great question. So I'm going to corporate sales. Corporate sales, I mean, sales in general is all about relationships. It's about knowing how to build them, establish them, develop them, grow them, and really have a trust relationship, because you can't really sell someone or like someone if you don't trust you. And growing my organization, I've made relationships with Robin Garvin, the IP executive assistant, Michelle Fine, director of communications, professors within the community of national nonprofits or local chapters, to the point where I found an investor in Michelle Popke, and she's getting me contact with the board of directors for a veteran leadership program, because we're going to see if we can establish a nonprofit to work together on. And this all goes, for me going to sales, it's just about, being passionate, people believing in you, because they're, if they're investing in you, if they're giving your time and, directing you to, or getting you in touch with other people you need to get in touch with and vouching for you, they have to believe in you. So I'm really going out and making a lot of relationships and building them, and that's an experience of itself.
Wow, I can see that. Well, Shawn, let me ask you, how does active involvement, real all-in involvement, help students sell themselves when applying for jobs?
Well, it's just what Dillon and Patrick have said. I don't think we could have had two better panelists on this in terms of student examples of why this involvement is so important. Because one of the things that employers look for, in addition to education, is experience. And the students might not necessarily have that experience in a work or professional setting, but they're certainly gaining these people skills, these time management skills, these planning skills. They're gaining all of this through that active involvement and taking leadership roles on within the organizations that they belong.
I couldn't agree more. Patrick, what's your advice to incoming freshmen who are thinking about getting involved, or you're trying to give them a reason to get involved? What would you say to them?
I would just tell them, just get involved in one thing. Start off with one. It can be something completely new. It can be something that you're familiar with if you're in your student council for your high school and then you come to college. You want to join that student government. Just join something, and you'll create great relationships with people. You'll meet people you never thought you would. You can end up on PCN. But yeah, it's all about going out there and trying something, and then definitely once you get in an organization, working as hard as you can, doing everything you can for the organization. And I'm only a sophomore, and I'm already a president of 2 organizations. So it's all about just getting in there and working hard with it and showing your dedication.
So Dillon, what would you say to kind of talk prospective students looking at college to the reason to get involved?
Well, I would say find your passion, find something that you're interested in doing. Definitely when you're a freshman or sophomore, join organizations that relate to your major. I think that helps a lot. As you go into your major classes, your junior, senior year, maybe you can branch off and found an organization and maybe try to start something new. But I think, joining existing organizations, kind of what you want to do or what you think you want to do when you get out of college is a great thing, because you can go and talk to people and see if this is what you like. So I would just say just get involved with major organizations.
That's great. I bet you guys would say that college is better when you're involved.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you meet a lot of people, and that's the best part.
That is the best part. Shawn, as an educator, and I know yourself, you were very involved as an undergrad, and you've made it a life's work. So what's the pitch you give at Clarion when you're trying to talk to students about the value of being involved?
Well, we've already hit on 2 of those topics, and that is building that support network and the experience that can be gained from it. But the piece that we really haven't talked a whole lot about at this point, and it's also a very important piece, and that's to have fun. You are in college, and sometimes it's good just to sit back and laugh. Maybe you go see a comedian, take in a movie on campus, go to a concert, or just hang out with people that you generally enjoy being around, and you have a good time. That helps relieve a little stress and just adds to that experience.
It's that nice balance with the academics. Well, thank you all very much. That's all the time we have today. We've talked about some really important things that I think will contribute to student success through being really involved in their campus life. Thank you all. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Thank you for watching and learning about how our 14 universities are contributing to student success.
Come back next week to learn more of the infinite opportunities at the state system's 14 universities, or visit us online